And yeah, we're live. We're live. Just give me a sec. I will share the Firefox. Okay, here's a Firefox. Let me prepare everything for recording. Okay, almost ready. Okay, let's do it. 3, 2, 1. Oh, sorry. No, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Non-Intuitive Beats episode number. I still have no clue what the episode number we're in, brought to you by the Leaders Club that you are part to if you're listening to us, but do consider elevating your membership by joining our Discord channel. And today, as usual, with me in this virtual studio, we have Dmitry Manarikov. Say hi to people.
Hi everyone.
And as usually, the most annoying voice would be me, Slava Kovalevsky. My friend, how was your week?
It was pretty good, actually. I actually did a lot of progress on my own game and playing games and doing regular stuff. So, yeah, it was good. What about you? How's the end of the year in technology companies?
yeah, it's going crazy, but for me, it's actually the last working day. Cruise is known by shutting down the whole company in between Christmas and New Year, so no one is working except obviously on call. And
I have a bad joke about Cruise shutting down.
when I verbalize it, I immediately thought about it. But yeah, I cannot say it, but you can say whatever you want, so go for it.
Cruise is known for shutting down. That's it.
Oh man.
But it will reopen soon.
yes. When you said week, so in my mind, the word week triggers the chain of thoughts. There is a movie John Wick. So here is a real story that I read on Reddit some time ago. So in Mexico, there used to be a city where there was a high level of car hijacking. So people was hijacking the cars.
Okay, what happened to the city?
I see where you're going, but hear me out on this. But you're thinking in the right direction. So one day, the citizen woke up and found that there was several murders committed in the city. There was 4 or 5 people killed. And those 4 or 5 people actually were the people who would be hijacking the cars. And on each body, they would found a small cars, toy cars, with amount of these toys equal to amount of the cars that supposedly each person hijacked. Okay. So everyone thought that there is some vigilantes.
Wait, so like someone kills someone and put like multiple toys,
exactly, yes.
One, but okay.
Yes, the multiple with the exact amount of cars hijacked. And the first comment was, it's probably Don Juan Wick at work. And if you spell Juan like how it's spelling it, John. Exactly. But okay, so this is the just word week started this chain reaction in my brain that actually led me to recollecting that interesting article that I found on Reddit. But yeah, overall, I'm extremely happy that this week is coming to an end. Do you have any plans, my friend, for post-Christmas?
Not really. Again, pretty much all my days look similar with the baby. I hope we'll start getting more for hikes or just longer walks. We're still getting used to, like travel or even go to shop with baby. But I think starting next year, I want actually to go like to forest, to like other places to get used to it.
Got it. Okay. Before jumping to topics, I actually had a question that I wanted to discuss with you. A question about engineering excellence. Okay. So there is this guy. I don't know if have you heard about Charlie Bell from AWS?
No.
Okay, so Charlie Bell, let me try to Google it quickly so I can show the face. This is a guy that used to be known in Amazon. Now he's probably somewhere else, I guess in Microsoft, judging from the LinkedIn. If this is even the same Charlie Bell, I can't recognize him by face because he's known. But anyway, so he's been known by raising the bar from engineering excellence in Amazon, in AWS specifically. And one of the things that he was notoriously known is Charlie Bell's operational reviews meetings. There is tons of the thread about Reddit. And effectively what this does is, oh, by the way, have you heard about Wheels of Misfortune?
I heard the phrase, but I don't know what it is.
So effectively, at least I think he's introduced that. If not, he make it popular for sure, but maybe he was the one that even invented that, would not argue. So the idea was the following. When the AWS was a small company, a small group of teams, he would be the one that would review operational dashboards. He was open the dashboards for the team, look on that, and would be asking questions. The idea that the operational dashboard should always tell the story of how healthy your service, what are the main trends, and if there is a spike, he obviously would poke and ask what that spike. Now, eventually, when the AWS became so huge that no way that all the team can show the dashboard to one guy, and this operational review already was like 3 hours, he introduced the wheel of misfortune. So he would invite all teams, and then he would spin the wheel and pick a random team, and that random team should deliver the dashboard overview for him in that specific week. So his point...
Like invited everyone to watch it, or just, for me it makes sense to first spin a wheel and then invite a team.
Oh, so the idea was that the team shouldn't know upfront. Everyone should be ready. So because of that, everyone should be ready. And his main philosophy that if you need to know upfront, you don't have a well-defined dashboards. And he was okay if you would send only primary on call, for example. But usually it would be manager, because time to time primary might see a spike in, let's say, errors, but primary might not know what have happened that week or that day. So it would be manager and a primary constantly from all the teams. First of all, they would see what are the best practices in other teams and things like that. But he would not enforce anything. So there was no enforcement how your dashboard should look like. As long as everything is clear and there is no Charlie Bell unanswered question, he would be fine. And this was the best, in my experience, way to enforce operational excellence. And I'm slowly trying to apply exactly the same tool right now in my group, not in just my group, but group tangentials to me that are peer to me, so to speak. And it's extremely useful tool. It's just what took me several months to apply that tool until the teams that had absolutely zero observability now have a dashboard where everyone can look and actually understand what's going on there. So that was a really long speech to ask the question, how do you have an idea how to force the team to build more observable products?
I don't have ideas how to force, but I think I have ideas how you not succeed in this one.
Okay.
Because I've seen it multiple times. Engineers don't want to build bad product. And they're actually very happy to have a good observability, especially when it's needed. Like when they have outage and then they have a place to go and check and see. Especially when, like, if you make something for them and show people, oh yes, we need it for a long time. We just didn't know we need it. Often problem I see in the companies is that people don't have incentive to do these things or don't have time because of planning. You know, you can say, hey, I want observability for our team and I need to allocate X hours. And it's the best if your manager at least somehow listen to you. Manager can allocate some time to you. But often they don't allocate time for all team to do this. Like you can have one person to make these dashboards, and it's fine because they can be used. But it's hard to ask other people to do it, to think about, hey, you're making feature. in addition to this feature, you're making unit tests, integration tests, you're making documentation, but also you need to do dashboard and optimization and anything. And people often don't have insensitive, like, like sometimes people don't write tests. Hey, ship feature fast, so we don't write tests. So they don't have these connections that test is a part of code, part of feature, but also observability is a part of feature. And often it's reinforced by planning, right? Like there's no time for them to do it. At least that's problem that I've seen. And I think once you give people time, and once you make expectations that, hey, you're making a feature, there should be some way to apply observability. I think it's more or less solved in the product front ends actually, because when people do like a button or something, they usually tend to add some analytics because they want to showcase, hey, actually my buttons that I made was clicked like 1,000,000 times, but not on the back end. Like no one asks you, hey, it's cool feature, but what about like metrics, measurements, etc.
I 100% agree with you. First of all, this is like with test coverage. The worst case to improve your stability is to enforce percentage of test coverage.
And that leads to other problems.
Exactly. It's never improved the stability. And coming back to the way of quote unquote motivating, or I don't want to use the word enforcement, but stimulated empowerment, so to speak, of other teams. This type of the meeting is actually the best thing that I have seen, because everyone kind of understands what are the question you will be asking at dashboard. Do you see how many errors? Can you trace from the error to the component of your service that broken? And more or less everyone knows what to do, but you don't have any with this type of the meeting, there is no way to formally satisfy checkbox and make a product not observable. Everyone more or less understands you have to have observable product, whatever this means for you, because you will be bombarded with questions that you actually can come up with yourself. Just think of anyone who afraid to be on call for your product. And he will be asking a question: how can I quickly see what is broken? How can I quickly debug it, see what's going on wrong? So yeah, I unfortunately have not found a similar way for testing, because for testing you cannot.
It's only code reviews, and you need to have enough people like on code review asking, hey, that should be covered with tests, so I'm not stamping your div. Like, I think it's only way. The test is pretty much like writing a correct code, making correct abstractions. You can't really formalize it. You obviously can do code coverage, but then it's create fake tests. Also, on observability, I think it's important that tooling is easy to use, and people know how to use it, and it doesn't require much of work, especially like bootstrapping new things. In Uber, we use M3, and it's pretty easy to use. It's like query language, and you go to Grafana, write a query, and you get a chart. And in your code, you just need to emit as many, like the good part about M3, it's very performant. So when you're writing the code, you just drop it anywhere. And a lot of code in our code base like emits these metrics, and people say, hey, that function do it, I will do myself. It may not be used, but if you need it later, you just go to make a query and get this data. And it's never like, you never get problems with the space for this metrics or for performance. You just don't care. Like they super performance, they super lightweight, and works very well.
Yeah, but your point about coming back to the just testability or testing your product where you need the TL, you need code review. Process-wise, I agree. But the thing is that with observability and with the tool that I mentioned, you can go to your VP, said, look, dear VP, here is the most important meeting in your life. You have to be coming here, spend your 2 hours, and now you have one owner of the meeting and one executive sponsors, and those two enough. With code reviews, there is no way to guarantee the same standard across the company, because VP not going to go and help review each of the code change. So now
I'm consider tests is the same as a function naming. VP don't go and check how people name their function, right? It's like peer-to-peer process. Obviously, there could be like huge integration tests covering most important company flows. Like if you take like ride sharing, it's like how people take a ride trip, right? And that's actually high level things that people can actually check. Okay, show me how do you test the most critical workflow for our company. But for small unit tests, yeah, it's pretty much just part of the code.
Yep. Okay, let's move on. Before moving to the next topic, I want to say hi to Alexander and Oleg. Both of them are saying hi in the chat right now. And I want to remind people that we are doing this live. So there is always an opportunity to come to our YouTube channel and participate live asking questions, or do go to Discord. Discord is also the place where we even periodically look into. I have several topics that I wanted to discuss. But first of all, my friend, do you want to start somewhere? Oh, you added, of course. Man, yes, I forgot. Thank you for adding one of the topic with number 6 in it. Anywhere you want to start?
No, let's go with Switch.
Okay, so 1 week after with the Switch, I just wanted to share my experience, and I'm loving the platform. First of all, I slowly rediscovering the gaming, because Switch actually has tons of the games that I never ever even have tried. So the first one I want to share is Punch Club. Punch Club is a game that's indie studio. It's pixel art almost everywhere. And this is because I'm actually a huge fan of the high-end graphics. And Switch is not the place where you can have high-end graphics. So it forced me to ask a question, okay, what are the best games out there that are just different, that are just focusing on the gameplay, so to speak. Punch Club, the first one, I haven't played the second one yet, is game like that. So this is a perfect example. It's perfect for Switch game. Have you played it?
I hear a lot about that, but I have vaguely understanding what it is. Is it like an arcade game? Is it management game? What is it?
So this is, if I would try to put it in a particular group, it's intersection between RPG and management. So imagine that you have a classical RPG where you need to bump your skill in order to do, in this case, fighting with other players. But here is where it's getting twists, so to speak. Everything is RPG until it's actual fight. When the actual fight happens, you don't control your character. So you control your character to build the stats, to put the right things, and it's a game of probabilities versus skills that you put in place. Somehow it reminds me Elden Ring. You remember how in Elden Ring you have a limited amount of slots for magical things that you can do, and you picking up which one. So here it's particular type of the punches that you can use during the fight. And in the fight there are not the slots, but pauses. During the fight you would have several pauses. In the pause you can switch the strategy. So based on the moves that your opponent moving, you can allow your character to do different moves, apply different things, and then let it go.
When I hear about it, I imagine in my mind how developers actually was playtesting game without these pauses, and then realized like players don't have any control and players be getting angry. So they added this way to switch strategy.
Yep. And I must say this, the game is extremely amazing. There is only one downside. The game intentionally made in the way that you constantly behind. So one of the things is you need to grow is your physical abilities. But your physical abilities degrade constantly. So you're constantly in the rat race. Oh, I need to go and exercise. Then I need to go to job to make money. For the money, I need to buy food. I need to exercise. And if you're even trying to inject any side story here, you will degrade your physical abilities drastically, and you have to keep this rat race. Little bit repetitive. So this is a Punch Club. Highly recommend. There is a phase in this game where it will feel boring and repetitive. If you actually would persevere and muscle through that pace, it's getting better and better and better. It shows you many storylines, many interesting things that you just need to wait and get there. It's really, really amazing. Have not played the second one. Obviously, another game of the same magnitude that I have not played, but now in my to-do list, Dave the Diver. Same question, my friend. Have you played, watched, heard?
Actually started it on a Steam Deck,
Okay.
but didn't play much.
Tell me. I haven't played at all, so now you actually know more.
Again, I played like first 20 minutes or like 15 minutes, mostly tutorial, so I didn't really get to like meat of the game. But I know it has a really good reviews.
True, but you know, I'm probably, when I'm looking this video, having the same thought that you having when you're looking at the Punch Club. Like, what is it? Is it a management game? Is it RPG? Is it arcade? Like, what?
So there are mechanics to catch fish, but like it's game with a bunch of mechanics. Like you get like hunt fish, you make a sushi, you like do some small side quests, so it's like a bunch of different management, different things, and there are, I think, like some nice story on top of it.
Got it. So to some extent, it's very actually close to Punch Club, because at some point you start giving small sub games with different mechanics. So yes, very similar in nature, looks like. Okay, I'm looking forward to try this out. Apart from that, it feels like Nintendo is just has a numerous collection of the games that become the golden standard. Just a few. Dark Souls is actually there. BioShock, Life is Strange, Civil 6, Outer Wilds. I now have on my to-do list Outer Wilds, and
it's one of my favorite games of all times.
You know, everyone who actually finished it or even played it saying exactly the same. This is one of the best game of all times, and don't ask me say anything.
If you say, okay, what is a game that like Outer Wilds? No, like it's unique game with a really unique mechanics, unique world, and I mean, I like the closest to Outer Wilds mechanics is probably Deathloop in some extent, but still very far away. Like this is a really cool game. It's like scientific. I actually watched a video with developers how they make it. It's really amazing job how they made physics works on this like a small solar system, because technically game emulates everything alive all the time, which is pretty cool concept.
And you know, one thing that I wanted to mention, that it's published by Annapurna Interactive, and if you look on what Annapurna has published, they have a pretty decent line of the games that are quite unusual. So Stray, but Stray is okay. It's unusual, but it's still very close.
Journey, probably one of the most famous. Journey was really big one, like small indie with really unique set and so on.
Annapurna Journey. I actually thought that you would say this one. What Remains of Edith Finch.
Oh yes, that one was also really cool. I think this is like perfect example of this game that you can finish in one evening, and it has really huge impact. You know, like it's stories that you will remember for a long time.
Plus one to that, it's still in my mind constantly. Like I remember What Remains of Edith Finch. It's I don't know. I think it won the award of art that can be expressed as a game, and that's probably the best description. This is an art. It's not a classical game.
It's like some books that you read and then you like after 10 years you still remember them. Like this is one of it.
True, but my point, I would not call it even game. This is like art, or I don't know what is that.
Well, games also art.
True, yes. Okay, yes. Okay, I know. This is more interactive, immersive story than the game. Yes, that's probably what I wanted to say.
Sure, yeah, but Of course. I mean, I use game more as a medium, like painting something on paper, right? You can paint your wall, or you can make a impressionist art, right?
Yep.
I'm more talking about like the physical process, right? You use computer, mouse, or gamepad, but surely it's different from other games.
Okay, just small distraction, just very small, because you reminded me about you using gamepad or using anything. So today was one of my report, because it's the end of the year, we decided to spend some time and try to see if we can play game together. So my Xbox is occupied. I took my controller from Xbox, went to my office, and I obviously asked him what he plays. And turns out that he plays only Counter-Strike, and he's been playing like hundreds of thousands of hours, and so he's a hardcore guy. And I said, sure, fine, CS2 it is. I opening Steam. I connecting my controller. We are waiting tons of the time until CS2 being downloaded. The moment it downloads, the first thing it tells me...
Wait. Did you want to play Counter-Strike with a controller?
Come on, man! I have the Kinesis Pro keyboard that even if I would attach mouse, it's impossible to play.
I specifically keep this one just to play games.
I see.
Only for that purpose.
But by the way, he told me exactly the same. You're planning to play CS with a controller, but anyway, we didn't play. Just a spoiler alert. We end up not playing. But the reason why. So you opening Steam. Steam shows you CS2. It shows you that it supports Mac. You clicking download, you installing it. Guess what the first thing it will tell you when you try to launch it?
Not on M1 MacBook.
Very close. And if it would actually be saying that, I would be super grateful. What it tells you, I need an update. Okay, fine. You click update, even though you just downloaded everything. You're waiting suspiciously the time that almost equal to the time that you waited to install the main game. It shows you launch again. You click the launch. Question: what do you think now you see there?
I don't know.
Okay, it will show you option start CSGO or start CSGO Legacy.
Okay.
It took us quite a while to Google together with that guy to figure out that turns out they don't support M1, and instead of telling you that they don't support M1, they just download in the shape of update CSGO. Then when you're clicking launch, they just trying to sell you CSGO like really, really hard. Obviously, we were extremely pissed. Turns out that CS2 did not support it on Mac, but in the Steam, it does shows you that there is an Apple support. You can download it. You can click launch at what point.
Steam doesn't have a good separation between different MacBooks yet. It was a problem for a long time.
Oh, it's not about M1, just Apple, any macOS. There is a huge thread on Reddit where they first released CS2, then unreleased it, but instead of doing it proper way, they just trying to open you CSGO everywhere where you're trying to install it. That's just garbage. Anyway, coming to Annapurna and Journey. I haven't played Journey. Tell me more. What is Journey? And I'm going.
It's probably now it's may feel outdated, especially you have a lot of games you can play. I wouldn't say this is one that you have to play. It was just interesting. I think it came 2012, right? That's 10 years ago. And back then it was really example of indie game that has really beautiful art, very small but interesting narrative done through environment, and somehow simple gameplay.
Okay.
It was unique. Right now, probably you when you have games like Dave the Diver or Dredge or other, this doesn't look much, but back then it was really, really cool experience. It's from gameplay wise, you can say it's a bit of platformer. So you play as some abstract character on a ruined sand planet or something, and you try to reach some point. There is no talks, there is no dialogues, there is no cutscenes, anything. You can try to just figure out what's going on and find the end. And it's pretty short. It was well made. Just nice experience back then. Again, right now I don't think it's like holds against like all current cool indie games.
This is exactly type of the game that you'd Google in the Nintendo store for the Switch, because it's like feels like you are 4 years ago, and
it can work very well. It's like it has a really nice graphic, but it's more about art than about details or high fidelity.
Got it. Last thing I want to mention, I'm really looking forward to play Life is Strange. Actually, this is a game that I never have played, but I heard so many things about it. Honestly, because of how this game looks from the first appearance, so to speak, it feels like a generic RPG quest type of the thing that there is tons of them.
Very different.
Okay. Tell me more. Looks like you know something about this game.
I know. I tried to play it. It's more one of these like movie type of games. Not much gameplay. Like a lot of story. It didn't hook me up, so I didn't really play it through. But yeah, it's more of this like movie style games, I think.
Got it. I see. Okay. That's actually all I wanted to say about the Switch. Let's just persevere with our topics. One thing I want to mention about the newsletters that I recently have started. So for all the listeners that might not have listened to our previous episode, I have the pipeline now that has ChatGPT in the middle, that trying to figure out which other shares to buy, to invest, and it's not an investment advice. It's purely for you to speculate, so to speak. And so overall, I would not say that it's doing super well. Like last week was a disaster. So overall, it was doing 1% per week, which was really nice. Last week it went back drastically. It's still positive overall, like since I started it. But yeah, it has some ups and downs. And the worst thing that's the most challenging, it is actually can identify event. Like let's take the last week. I had several shares that it auto bought and auto sold, but there was an event. During that event, the price actually went up. But the problem that several days before the event, there was a lot of volatility. So I still haven't tuned the pipeline so it understands when exactly to buy, when exactly to sell, and can make a meaningful ideas at which price to buy, at which price to sell. We'll see. So far it's okay. It's still net positive if I would count from the inception, and I don't know. I'm shutting
1-2 years of it.
Exactly. Yes.
That would be really interesting.
Yep. But to be fair, my biggest investment right now, biggest investment among the most riskiest investments. I need to be very careful here. So my biggest investment among the riskiest one is in Solana, and it's biggest just because Solana went up so much, not because I actually invested a lot of money there. So yeah, it is what it is. That's actually all I wanted just to share. The update is still net positive, but it's not doing as well as I was hoping for it to do. Just for the sake of ping pong, why not to pick one of your topics? Because you brought one of the really, really juicy topics.
You're talking about Midjourney?
Of course.
Yeah, let's. I actually put a link on Twitter thread, obviously for people who are watching us. But Twitter thread just doing like very simple prompts and compare Midjourney version 5 versus version 6, which was released recently. And version 6 makes much better results. It makes better results on both, you can see the slice, right?
Yes, okay. I cannot. I will do a screenshot from my from the another browser where I logged in, but yes, it's horrible.
Essentially, Midjourney has really better results, even for like realistic photos, for advertisement, for cartoons, for everything. Especially I like improvements on people faces, because before Midjourney and actually all this AIs for. When they make faces, they make them very polished, very perfect. Like skin usually like very flat. Everything looks like either like hardly photoshopped real photo or you spot like AI instantly. But now it makes better, like really less perfect, more detailed pictures. It looks really nice. And same goes to other places like making cartoons, making fictional characters, anything. I think there was like one really cool photo of old miner or something in this thread. Maybe you see it.
No, I'm trying. Oh yeah, I found it.
Yeah, that was like really like the new one details. Like you see, it looks like real portrait. I mean, probably people who work with AI a lot, they will spot like issues. But for me, when I look at it, in 5 minutes, I couldn't find like, okay, this is AI. So I could actually believe that it's like real photo. On the left one, the face, I think expression maybe, I don't know, something that gives me like some artificial feeling. But on the right one, it looks really like a well-made portrait.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's really hard to distinguish.
To be fair, I want to mention one maybe even two things. So yes, I agree with everything. This is even way more impressive than it used to be. But one thing specifically I want to say, for some of the cases, let's open this one, right? If we're not speaking about the portrait, I don't think I will, in blind testing, always will pick Midjourney 6. So Midjourney
for sure. I'm not saying it's much better, but yeah, I think one of the improvements actually, it's not about outcome, but about input. So first previous Midjourneys, they require very specific input, how you structure words, how you're making prompt, like people got used to it. They create this, hey, 4K, high res, like super color, blah, blah, blah. They add a lot of words, a lot of like noise into input to make this output. And people who do it a lot, they know what to add. And even, I think someone actually created ChatGPT prompt to give you prompts for Midjourney. But now, even simple prompts gives really good results. So they try to make really like natural language converted to photos. Another thing they did, I think, is it's now much better on text. So if you ask Midjourney to put some text, it will be mostly correct. It will be spelled correctly, layout correctly, and so on, which wasn't really the case before.
Makes sense. Okay. My friend, do you have anything to add about Midjourney? I haven't played with it, so I don't have much to add.
No, I actually canceled my subscription like a few months ago, so I probably will resign it if I have any need.
Yeah, same for me. On the AI topic, I actually have an interesting development with one of my GPTs that I wanted to share. I cannot open it here because GPT still requires you to have a subscription. So one of my GPTs, Jessica, the main Jessica, has the API that allows you to store long-term memory. So it can remember facts about you, and it can actually query facts about you. And because of that, and by the way, whenever you see GPT from me and you have a name Jessica in it, you should know one specific thing. This means that all these GPTs with the name Jessica have a shared access to memory about you. That's the whole idea, that you can chat with one GPT, it will memorize something, another GPT can use it, and it actually allows all the GPTs under this brand to function function better. But interesting development that I had. So the people who know how I did it, I have several folks at work that are actually actively using them. They know about the database VectorDB. They express the need to have a feature when you allowing other person to ask something to your long-term memory. Because effectively, you can say that, okay, let me allow to my wife to ask any question, my friends to ask question. What are the ideas to think about the gift, for example? Where Is it
like I'm like immediately like, hey, what about privacy of data? Obviously, like your wife and friends maybe not be attacking vector, but I would be a bit resistant to give access unrestricted, because I don't know like what, like gifts, yes, cool, but other things may not what I want to share.
True, and immediately, so there was 2 requests, very specific, from several group of people. One was, can I get a super user, like a wife that can ask anything I want? And the second ask, can I give a set of predefined questions? So the user can open page and only pick one of these 2 questions to my memory. And that's why the gifts overall came up, because they actually were looking at this as a replacement of gift list on Amazon, where you can go and click and it will try to suggest you something instead of just them pre-populate. Because it's gives some element of surprise. Because the person actually have no idea what the GPT will suggest based on all the facts that it learns about the person. And at the same time, it's still tailored to the person. Mm-hmm. So that's quite cool. I only implemented CLI backdoor pass for some of the accounts for unrestricted questions, because the restricted questionnaire requires more work. But nevertheless, there is something to it. And obviously, I would have tons of the fantasies where it would go, but OpenAI folks, they are moving so fast, and there is already a leak. Even if this is not a real leak so far, I'm sure it will be implemented this or similar way at some point, which is effectively GPT will have a long-term memory. Trying to quickly Google it, I cannot find quickly, but yeah, it's effectively doing exactly what Jessica is doing, storing some of the facts in VectorDB and later on be able to retrieve it. Cannot find the actual thread, but there were several leaks that pointing that they do this.
So on a slightly different, so let's say I want the same, but I want completely local, right? I want my local memory, I want my local LLM, right? I can get VectorDB installed, and I also can have something like Mistral or like any Ollama model. Is there a way right now to connect these 2 things together locally so I can do the same for myself without external GPT?
Yes, but here is a problem. So GPT is effectively, there is no secret source. So imagine that you're asking LLM saying that here is a question from the user, and your output should be a JSON, and JSON can have text field, which is what to print, and also can have an array with a name calls. Yeah. So you can actually describe everything, and then your local LLM can respond to you saying, here is a text that says I've saved everything. Here is a call that would say, call your save function with these arguments. Now, the biggest difference is that they actually fine-tune GPT model to be ready to be used with these cases. You will use local LLM, like 5 out of 10 cases, it will produce you broken JSON that you cannot automatically put and automate. Other than that, yes, it's already there. And I know this challenge pretty well because I was trying to do this use case in the GPT 3.5 before they fine-tune it for this use case. It was a nightmare. It was a nightmare in the sense that I constantly would be getting response from LLM and asking LLM itself, do you think it's the right JSON? If not, can you fix it somehow? And it was working okay, but you would have a 5 to 10, and I'm joking you, 5 to 10 calls to the LLM to make the JSON actually correct JSON to call your database. Same about the query. It can replay, give me a query, you will give it a query, and then it will construct the response. But yes, there is what I'm trying to say, that they don't have a secret backend that actually embedded in the model itself. It's just
I see.
Input output. Yeah.
Okay, so we need this ability to make it work.
Correct. Yeah, someone just need to train it. To make sure that you're not only giving text, but you're giving list of function, and your output can be a proper JSON, and that's all. If we would have tons of the GPUs, maybe it could have been our hackathon project, but yeah, we don't have enough GPUs.
Actually, how many GPUs you need for this to train? How hard is because I have no idea how big is scope. Is it like a year of 20 people collecting data and processing, or is it like months, weeks, days? what data you need to do to train such way?
Yeah, so you actually ask the right question, because actually I just bullshit our listeners to some extent. So it's not exactly that. If you already have a model, there is a process that's called fine-tuning. Some companies would call it post-training. Some companies would call it fine-tuning. And first, since you asked, now you have to listen. So first, let me describe overall why this process important. When you're training LLM, usually you would train a language model. But if you train a language model, it just predicts the next word. So what I mean by that, if you will give a language model a question, what is the capital of France? It probably would keep printing questions, because the highest probability that question is in the book with the question, so we'll be start keeping printing what is the capital of Germany, what is the capital of US. Okay. So it just predicts next token in the language. That's it. So this is actually the longest part, to build the language model, because language model inside, when it predicts next token, has some decent understanding of the world. I can understand what that Paris is the capital of France. Now the second part, that called post-training or fine-tuning, again, different processes call it differently. The post-training is the most popular right now. It's just raising these definitions, but it used to be called fine-tuning. So now you can take this language model and do a much smaller amount of training, where you only will provide prompts, question answers. So now you're taking the model that understands the world and you're effectively forcing it to react as a chatbot. So this post-training is actually reasonably simple. If you have enough data, you can do a cheap post-training on your model to make it acting as a chatbot. Now, what here we are looking into, we do need to do another post-training to make sure that it's not only acting as a chatbot, it's acting as a chatbot plus ability to invoke function. And the bottleneck here would be just data. You need to create so many data where you will be sharing, you will be giving it name of the function, how you would call this function, and the result of that function. If you can generate enough of these permutations, actually much cheaper than even us can train it, if you will have enough, a big enough corpus, so to speak.
Okay, so the problem is, it looks like the main problem is create this data. Like
yes.
Too much of it.
Yep, a lot of data of different functions, because while you more or less can automatically probably generate name of the function and what would be the argument, it's really hard to automatically generate possible outputs of these functions.
I see.
Yeah, that's a problem. Anyway, we are slowly moving to the world where anyone who controls the data controls everything. That's why they're releasing the model. You need GPUs and you need data.
That's why I don't want to share my data. It's mine.
Yeah, you know, there is uncomfortable truth probably that you can find a very reasonable copy of any of us who will be.
Sure.
Yeah,
but I don't care about generic data about me. Like millions of people like me with the same interest, you just can grab it and figure out a lot about me. I want a particular data about me, not to be leaked or gotten by other people.
Yep. Sorry, just one last thing about this. The first thing where that got already disturbing, and people actually got disturbed by this, is understanding how good model can know us in a shape of prediction. When you have this idea of buy next, or here is this thing to buy, because there is this conspiracy theory that your phone constantly listens to you, because there is so many Reddit discussion that always said something. In reality, it's not about conspiracy, it's about how easily we are predictable. That's the real truth. And you know, like you're driving in the car to a baseball championship, and you're driving in the pool of people, and someone who drives with you, who sits with you, suddenly send a Gmail about the product that actually turns out to be very close from the model perspective to your archetype, and that product is suggested to you, but like you always, what the fuck? How? Anyway. I just saw interesting thing from you, my friend, before going to AWS by PyTorch, single responsibility principle in the physical things. What is that?
Actually, it's like I just started like if we have time, but we can quickly discuss it. So recently I started to build like add more stuff to my smart home thingy, and I tried to not make it smart, and I found really that I found that like solid sometimes applicable to real life, and I'm talking about first part S, which is a single responsibility principle, right? In a programming, we try to make every function, every class should have like some smaller possible scope, right? And do one thing and do it really nicely. And when we fuck up this principle, our code doesn't really work well, not scalable and so on. And if you think about it, can be applied easily to physical world. And let's talk about IoT. For example, recently I needed a humidifier. We have a like really dry air in house, and I wanted, I want humidifier, but I want one that actually, like knows humidity. So it's like when it's like, it's raining outside, you don't really need to like to turn it on, right? And there are tons of devices that contains everything. It contains a sensor, it has Wi-Fi, it's connected to your mobile, one more mobile app on your phone, and so on. And when you think about this, it's adding complexity to device. So obviously they cost more. They probably will not be that like every, it can break easily because there are so many details. And it's use Wi-Fi 2.4 that I have to support. And it needs to be in a range. It has more devices. I need to install application on my iPhone. What if application is broken? What if I don't have phone? And even the simple thing, right? I don't maybe want to turn it on based on a position of humidifier, but I want to turn it on based on position of bed of my kids, right? And so many things, they just put everything together. And I was trying, can I make it very separate? So the solution I came up with, I need a very simple, very reliable humidity sensor. I need a simple outlet which connected to IT and can only turn on and turn off. I don't need any fancy functions. And I want it ideally to be connected through Thread or Zigbee or whatever. And I want humidifier, which is plain stupid. You plug it in wall and it works. You plug it out, it stops working. And it was surprisingly hard to find that. Everyone came up with smart features, smart detectors. I find one which is super simple. It's super cheap. It has no features. It just has literally one knob to make it a min-max. And the best part, it's not electronic. Some devices, when you plug it off and plug it on, they don't work. You still need to click.
Yep.
But that one just is if you knob rotated in mid and you turn it on into socket, it starts working immediately. And I really like this idea to have these things, and I actually apply them further. For example, I try to avoid buying smart bulbs. Because bulb is actually exchangeable part, right? Bulbs has a lifetime. You will need to change them, throw them out, and buy a new one. And smart bulbs are actually expensive, and they create more pollution unnecessary. But if you, instead of buying 5 bulbs for your whatever, you just buy one smart switch. You can control it. Switch will never go. Obviously can broke, but you don't expect it to be broken, right? Compared to bulbs. Obviously, there are some situations, for example, you want a different colors, you want fine-tune control, yes. But it actually works well for everything, specific knives, specific tooling usually works best. It's not always possible, right? We can have 5 cars, one for driving to work, one for leisure and so on. But for small things, it works very well. That at least was my idea, which seems obvious, but I only realized it recently.
No, it's actually everything that you're saying seems reasonable, and it's probably so appealing that I immediately, when you were saying, I immediately said, okay, that is it. I will definitely adopt it. I see probably on only one problem with that is exactly the one that you just have defined. Some of the devices are just smart. It's really hard for some of the device to find a stupid version of that device, and some of the cases trade-off. Like example with a blurb, you can have both. You can have lump with intensity and many other features like color intensity, and so not smart.
Intensity you can control via switch. So that's one at least solvable, but colors, no. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. It's same as the programming, right? Sometimes your class need to be godlike and do everything. It happens.
Yep. It's a cool idea, actually. The moment you said it, it's exactly as you have put it. It's simple, but it's hard to grasp. But the moment you vocalize it, yes, oh my God, that's exactly how it should be. Okay. How about we use this piece of the wisdom to end up our show tonight? It's almost an hour.
Okay. We left our AWS PyTorch. The next one.
Yeah, that's a small one. I am okay. I have several friends that release a new piece, but we can allocate additional time next time for it. Okay. I want to say thank you to Alexander, who is listening to us. He mentioned a comment that he actually listened to us previously, and we were discussing different topics, and he learned about Cruise Company, Googled it, and he got horrified, and he's actually was I was trying to find the word. It was interesting to him how positive we are in our discussion. So yes, thank you, Alexander. It's hard.
I'm horrified to just pretend.
Yeah, but it's challenging time. I'm totally believe in the company, but believing in the company doesn't mean that it's not challenging. It's still challenging. And one day, I promise, maybe a year from now, I will share tons of the stories that have happened during this year. And I'm pretty sure it doesn't matter if the company, which way company will go. And I believe that the company will persevere and be extremely successful. That's my belief. But obviously, I'm pretty sure in a year or two from now, we will be at liberty to discuss juicy details, how it used to be. With that, thank you everyone for coming. Next time, same place, same time, we will talk to you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, just give me a sec. I also need to stop the broadcasting. We still have 3 people listening. Yeah. Thank you, folks, and see you.